Oh, dude, just fucking.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning. So we love Extraco.
With Ease US makes studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
All right, it's the Pete Sousa Show. We're presented by Slovacics, and let me tell you something. We are thrilled to be back with you from the studio here in Waco, Texas, high atop the city in Central Texas here in the Alico building, the 21st floor. Pretty cool that we go from Waco to the world, baby. That is a fact. We focus on the Big 12 and college football, and then the Cowboys, and then all of a sudden we're talking about BYU, and then we're talking about UCLA, and then we're talking about the New York Knicks, and then pretty much we got the country covered, baby. And if you want to say worldwide, that's fine. We talked about boxing yesterday. Somebody ripped me because a few people did because I didn't know what I was talking about. But I prefaced it by saying I wasn't quite sure what I was talking about. I just walked through my experience watching that huge fight, which was pretty awesome. just the experience overall. The experience today is going to be fantastic because we have Cowboys legend, former Arizona State quarterback. His dad played for Arizona State, so this is a legacy guy that Baylor fans should be listening to as we get set to march into a huge game on Saturday night here at McLean Stadium. Baylor versus Arizona State. A lot on the line for both teams, and a lot on the line for me today as I get a chance to talk to Danny White, former quarterback of the Cowboys and Arizona State Sun Devils. Also, head coach of the Arizona Rattlers in the Arena League. I used to work for this dude, Gary Horton, me and Todd McShay did, at a company called the War Room, and we would do scouting. We were a scouting service pretty much for like all football, and that included the Arena League. And that is when I got introduced to Danny White and his dominance in the Arena League. And boy, he had teams that were good. I think he was there for about 12 years, and all they did was win. So we'll talk to him, probably not so much about the Arena League, but more about Arizona State and the Cowboys. But the guy has got a pedigree, and we are so proud to have him. Another guy with a pedigree as we get set to start the show. And remember, we always have to thank Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, First National Bank of Central Texas, Socorro Family, Ford, Crawford Austin Properties, and of course, Scotty Swingler's here. Scotty's like crawling around the studio. You know, it's just, that is live, whatever you're doing. This is a live show. I know from working in local news, like, you want to see things go sideways real fast. By the way, get a bunch of local news people and take away their teleprompter. Oh, it's like everybody is like, and today there was a cat. Well, let me see here. All working on this. A cat was in a tree, and like, I've seen it all. I've been that person, and at some point you finally just say, "Hey, let's have a conversation," and that's what we're going to do. And that conversation today will start with one Tom Brady. Last night during the second bill of the Monday Night Football doubleheader, Tom Brady was captured in the Raiders, what looked like an owner's box or coach's box, and he was dialed in, and you could tell the moment he was put on screen. You know, they have monitors in those boxes, obviously, and he could see the fact that he was on screen, and he's a human being like the rest of us, and it looked like he wanted to disappear and like crawl into a hole because there's a lot of meat on the bone here. Last night was the first time I think we really saw the average person that Tom Brady is, in fact, an owner of the Las Vegas. I almost said Oakland, then I almost said Los Angeles. The owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, a minority owner, part owner, and also he broadcasts for Fox Sports. Those two things together spell trouble for the NFL, and the visual last night was really bad. Now, you have to take into consideration that owners can't complain about this because they voted on this, right? And they said it was going to be okay. And that's because those guys all think with their wallets, right? I mean, Tom Brady being a part of the NFL as an owner for a historic team like the Raiders is good for business. But at some point, it's not going to be great for competition. And if you were to look in the very near future, okay, the Raiders play, I guess, his next game, Brady's next game will be the Cowboys and the Bears this coming weekend. The following weekend, the Raiders play the Bears. You get what I'm saying here? Like, Tom Brady now he can't go to the facility and actually be in those broadcast meetings, right? But he will be over Zoom. And he'll also be talking to guys like Kevin Burkhardt. I think Richie Zions is the producer, Aaron Edwards, like all those guys, Aaron Andrews. Who's Aaron Edwards? All those people who, by the way, I'm sure he has developed relationships with. They're friendly. I'm not saying that they're trying to do anything nefarious, but just casual conversations you would think will bring up, hey, how was the facility? How was practice? What did you see? And if they saw something that was pertinent to the broadcast, like maybe a particular Bears player, let's say Caleb Williams, was walking around on a gimpy ankle, so we're not sure. It's just like, that is information that a regular owner of a team, who, by the way, is almost like involved in football ops. Pete Carroll talked about it last night. He kind of tried to downplay it, but, it was revealed that Tom Brady talks to Chip Kelly 3 times a week. Chip Kelly's the OC for the Raiders. this is one of those things where it goes back to last week or 2 weeks ago. All the stuff that happened with Kawhi Leonard, right? And Steve Ballmer and the LA Clippers. That is, you look at that situation and you're like, oh my God. First of all, I can't believe, props to Pablo Torre. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't want to get all into it again, but just go Google Pablo Torre, Steve Ballmer, LA Clippers. And Cliff's Notes version is the Clippers were finding a way to pay Kawhi Leonard. This is allegedly by Pablo Torre, but pretty much proven. They were trying to go through the back door to circumvent the salary cap to pay Kawhi Leonard extra money through this. I guess it was like an evergreen or some eco-friendly company that went bankrupt. And when the company went bankrupt, it had to declare where all its money was going. And a lot of this money was going to Kawhi Leonard for like a no-show job, right? And it became clear to Pablo Torre and people reporting that Ballmer was somehow involved. And this is how they were getting Kawhi Leonard the amount of money that Kawhi wanted to stay with the Clippers. That Steve Ballmer situation and the fact that we haven't seen anything really of consequence happen since it was revealed, and the fact that that stuff goes on all the time, and the fact that major companies, like, I'm just going to throw one out there and don't anybody take me to task, but this is an example, like BlackRock, they find ways to get bailed out, or they necessarily, you've been reading for a long time, like companies of that ilk, of that worth, they don't operate by the same rules that like you and I operate by financially, because we just don't get the concessions. We don't get the benefits. Now, okay, wealthy people would say they got to pay a lot of taxes, blah, 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 but you get my point, right? Tom Brady being the owner of the Raiders, part owner, and still being involved broadcasting the NFL on Fox and being in the box last night during a Raiders game, which, by the way, this is like the only scenario that he would ever be filmed at a game would be like a Monday night game, right? Like this just worked out perfectly for Monday Night Football to catch this. And to me, it's another example of, and look, I'm not really complaining, but it's another example of like the wealthy people and the elite and the upper crust in society. They just don't play by our rules, dude. They don't. Like Tom Brady has such value to Fox and to the NFL and the NFL's owners that nobody wants to even acknowledge how crazy this is, because it's insane. And you've heard it already, but let me reiterate it if you have heard it. And if you haven't heard it, let me just break the news to you. Once the Raiders become a juggernaut in the NFL, if they ever do, and Tom Brady is involved, this will become a huge deal. Now, somebody may put the kibosh on it before it gets to that, because there has been a bit of a public outcry since, last night into this morning. I was listening to Mike Florio, who does an amazing job on NBC Sports Radio on Sirius with his football show, and he was basically losing his mind this morning. And a couple guys I heard former NFL players this morning, some were talking about, hey, it's great. Like a guy on First Take, who I'm not sure who it was a former player, said that this is what Tom Brady does. He had a whole stretch of his pro career, right, where he found ways to maybe cheat when he was with the Patriots. Like, these guys are always looking for an edge, and it's almost like scuffing a baseball. It's like, it's really not cheating till you get caught, and this is another example of that. And I think it's almost a more magnificent example of that, because again, it goes back to my wealthy people just don't play by the same rules that you or I play by, right? And a lot of times the reason for that is follow the money, right? If this was not lucrative for both the NFL and Fox, Tom Brady would have no business with either party. But the fact of the matter is, where he goes, money follows. And somebody will have to make a decision that would be unpopular and do the right thing and get in the middle of this, because it's not okay. Look, I have a little Raiders football here. I got this morning at a rest stop coming back from Dallas, okay? Flower Mound, to be precise. Now, I am a Raiders fan. The reason I like the Raiders, okay, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I was born, my love and absolute passion for football came through watching NFL films when I was a very, very little kid. Like, hence how I know Danny White so well, right? Who we're going to talk to here in about 5 minutes. So I got to take a break. Is he here yet? No, he's not here yet. So we can get a little bit of grace. But the Raiders to me were like, it was like watching Indiana Jones or like Star Wars. Like, I got to know the Raiders and Lester Hayes and Lyle Alzado and Al Davis and Tom Flores and John Matuzak through that beautiful lens of NFL films. So they almost were like unrealistic to me, right? Like the superhero pirate, the anti-hero that you just couldn't turn away from. And that really left an impact on me. And maybe it's delusional, but I say all that to say, like, I have no ill will for the Raiders. Outside of the Eagles, they're my second favorite team. And I just love the logo. I love the silver and black. There's just something special about Al Davis and all that. But that doesn't mean that Tom Brady should be able to create his own set of rules. And something's probably got to change. Something probably will change. And it could change in the very near future. So we're going to keep our eye on that. We got plenty more to talk about today. I want to get into Baker Mayfield. Molly Kieram abruptly leaving. First Take is a pretty big story. The UCLA football job. I have a candidate for that job who is a no-brainer. I heard it mentioned yesterday, and I'm going to share it with you guys and tell you why UCLA football is about to become relevant again. Okay, all that and Danny White. We're efforting Danny White. Waiting for him to log on here, but he's not late yet, and he's Danny White, so he's probably going to be on time. So we're looking forward to that conversation. Arizona State and Baylor coming up this weekend. Baylor, a 2.5-point favorite. Wonder what Danny White thinks of that. We'll find out when we come back and chat with him. The Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovakics. Back after this.
Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. We are broadcasting live here from Central Texas, high above Central Texas in the Alico building. We are presented by Sauvatics, and right now it is our pleasure to welcome in Cowboys legend and, of course, Arizona State legend, the great Danny White, all of a sudden so beloved in the state of Texas and Central Texas. Now he's an adversary as Baylor and Arizona State set to lock horns this weekend. What's happening, Danny?
Hey, how you doing, Pete? I'm great. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about playing all these Texas teams now that we're in the Big 12 conference. But it's great competition, and this is going to be a great game.
It's got to be pretty cool for you when you think about that, the Texas flavor. And I know your bloodlines run deep all the way back to your dad with Arizona State football. I want to start, though, by talking to you about your incredible run playing for Frank Kush. He was as no-nonsense as they come. For people who don't know, I want you to think Bill Parcells on steroids, and that's Frank Kush. What was it like playing for a guy like that was so domineering, but held you so accountable, too, and I imagine kind of shaped the type of man you've become today?
Yeah, well, he made me a football player. I went to Arizona State to play baseball. Was on a baseball scholarship. Played as a defensive back my freshman year. I only played 1 year of quarterback in high school. So I was pretty raw, but because of him and his style, you know, everybody, you had to be mentally very, very tough to play for him. And a lot of guys weren't. A lot of guys left. 5 quarterbacks from my freshman team transferred. The incumbent quit the first week of camp, and there weren't any other quarterbacks around that had played quarterback other than me. He was kind of stuck with me my sophomore year, and we had such a great team. And he told me before the first game, he came over to me and he said, "Hey, White, you look nervous." And I said, "Yeah, Coach, I kind of am. I grew up watching football in this stadium with my dad, went to every game, never dreamed I would be a football player for Arizona State. And here I am, the starting quarterback my sophomore year." So I said, "Yeah, Coach, I am a little nervous." He said, "I don't worry about it. Just get the ball from the center and give it to one of the other 10 guys without dropping it, and we'll be fine." And that was his pep talk. You know, that was Frank Kush. And we did, and we just rolled in the offense. You know, Woody Green, Benny Malone, Steve Holden, guys like that to get the ball to him. That's all I did was just find ways to get the ball to him. And my career kind of took off. Each year we got better and better, won 3 Fiesta Bowls, and the rest is history.
Yeah, you took the Sun Devils to new heights, right? And then, you know, they experienced some of that again with Jake Plummer, right? And the Pat Tillman teams. And then again with Kenny Dillingham, Ken Scattaboo, and Sam Levitt last year, an amazing run. What was it like for you to see your program, right, that you helped put on the map, ascend to great heights again last year?
Well, it was partly due to the fact that the program had gone through such hard times with Herm Edwards and the previous administration, and so it was just great to come from that, picked 16th in a conference of 16 teams to end up winning the conference. And I saw that very early in Kenny Dillingham's style, and people asked me to compare him to Frank Kush, which is almost a ridiculous thing to ask, but he does have a Frank Kush mentality of toughness and rigidity in the program, being on time and working hard and preparing. He demands that, but he applies it to a modern day culture in a way that, he's a perfect combination of toughness and leniency and getting along with these guys in this generation. It's a different generation, and just being around them last year, Pete, it was so much fun. It just reconfirmed to me the fact that the game of football is the greatest team sport in terms of synergy, chemistry, locker room, ever created. And that's what that team had last year. They just fought tooth and nail for each other and loved each other. And that took them all the way to the conference championships.
How did you see Kenny Dillingham create that connection between himself and his players, which is what makes, like you mentioned, it's a masterclass in cohesion and chemistry?
Yeah, what he did is he had a lot of events for the players at his home, at other venues, where they went bowling together. They did a lot of things together, and they just got to know each other. And these were kind of a bunch of misfits. They were rejects, if you will, from other schools. Because of the portal, they were able to transfer in, and I don't know if it was just dumb luck. I think most of it was Kenny and his style. He brought them all together as a family, and he preached that to them. And they became that because he confirmed it every day in practice. And he's so positive. And he doesn't say very much negative, opposite of Frank Kush. Frank Kush never said anything good about any of us, but it brought us together in opposition to Frank Kush. I told a group the other day that if we had lost that game in Mississippi State, we would just be getting to the Arizona-New Mexico line, running back from Mississippi to Tempe to get ready for the next game. That would have been Frank Kush. But Kenny, I went in to see him. I meet with Kenny every Sunday afternoon. And so I went in to meet with him, and you would have thought he just won the conference championship. He was so upbeat. Did you see the way we responded in the second half, the way we ran the ball? He's just a positive guy with a lot of energy, and players love playing for him.
Hey, Danny, how does that happen? That's a pretty cool deal. So does he ask you, as somebody with such great legacy and experience and obviously knowledge of not only the school but the game of football, does he say, hey, Danny, I'd love to meet with you every Sunday? Or how does that come about?
Yeah, you know what? After his first year, I went to a couple of practices. I didn't do much. But I went in to meet with him, and Kenny's an ASU guy. He's from Tempe. He grew up there, so he knows a little bit about the history of Arizona State and my career there. And so I think he respected that. And I just went in and said, Kenny, I like your style. I would love to help if there's anything I can do. And he came up with this idea of, hey, why don't you watch the team we're playing the next week? And let's meet on Sunday after we put the last Saturday night's game to bed, and give me just a report, a scouting report on the team we're going to play that week, and how can we beat them? What do we have to do to beat them? What are their keys? What are their key players? And so that's what we do, and it's been great. I think he appreciates it. He takes that and he goes into his staff meeting gives them an upbeat report, really gets into it. I mean, and all the strengths and weaknesses, and it's worked out well for both of us. It's been a lot of fun.
See, Danny, that's something that I did not know, but makes perfect sense, right? Like that's another little Easter egg as to why Kenny Dillingham has been so successful. My next question for you: what was the report on Baylor? What did you see? What do you think Arizona State's going up against?
Well, they're playing another good team. This team's got some outstanding players. They're struggling on defense a lot like we had been until Saturday night. We played our best defensive game that I've seen them play in 2 years. And so defense is getting better. The offense is still struggling, still trying to find its rhythm and get in sync and everybody on the same page. But Sawyer Robertson is a quality quarterback. He's a big senior quarterback, 6'4", 220. And they got a bunch of little smurfs that run around the field that are small and quick, and you better pay attention to them and not let them get behind you. And that's going to be the key for this defense, no big plays. But then they've got a couple of big guys. I've got my notes here. Josh Cameron, number 34, is just 6'1", 224 senior, big, strong, and it seems to be Sawyer's favorite receiver. And then Michael Trigg, who's kind of a hybrid tight end. He's big enough to play tight end, 6'4", 240. Just an excellent receiver and a guy that it looks like Sawyer likes to go to in tough situations. Their defense is struggling. We're going to have to score a lot of points. I think this is going to be kind of a track meet, playing in Waco against a team that loves to put points on the board. I was looking at their offenses. They're scoring 36 points a game, and so we're going to have to put up some numbers in order to beat them. It's going to be a fun game. I look forward to going back to Texas and being there on the sideline with them, and it's going to be a fun trip.
Dude, that's amazing. Getting a scouting report from Danny White is next level for me. I want to ask you a little bit about your Cowboys days, if you don't mind, because that's where you came into my life. I was no offense here, Danny. All right, I'm a Philadelphia guy. Okay?
Oh,
I'm sorry. I know, but I had to.
Should have waited till the end to tell me that, Pete.
I know I should have waited. But you followed Roger Staubach. Like that is, and that speaks to your ilk as a person or someone of your ilk as a person and a player to be able to handle that. How did you handle that? Was there anything inside where you were like, okay, you just dig deep and find a way to do it? Was there someone outside who helped you? What did that look like for you?
I learned a lot from 4 years of backing up Roger Staubach, but I learned more off the field than really on the field. We had different styles. I didn't go out trying to be Roger Staubach. I just went out to play the game the way I played it. And in fact, I thought there were some things that I did that I did better than Roger. Roger would just force the ball into situation. I would just shake my head on the sideline saying, what is he doing? And somehow it would work out. He would just will the team to victory. And he was, in my opinion, the greatest quarterback leader that ever played the game. So I learned that from him. But as far as the X's and O's, I kind of just went out and played the game the way I wanted to play it. And didn't listen to all that. Every press conference, they wanted to know what it was like backing up Roger Staubach and following him and how much pressure there was. Guys, there's not a lot of pressure. I'm just playing the game the way I like to play it. And now off the field, his work ethic, his priorities in his life, his family, and his faith, we shared that. And I learned a lot from Roger and his dedication to his family. And so other than that, I just went out and played the way I thought it should be played. And when we had a lot of success in the early 80s. And I'm proud as I can be. It wasn't pressure though. It wasn't like everybody thinks, well, you had that role to fill. The bar had been set really high, and it had been set high. Anything short of a Super Bowl was not acceptable if you were a quarterback on America's team.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes you unique and you special. And that's why you ascend to the level that you did, because you can stay focused, right? And you can continue to kind of block out the noise, because the average person gets swept up in that. Tell me something about Tom Landry. I growing up, look, I showed you the Eagles helmet, but I'm more an NFL guy, and I was just ultimate reverence to Tom Landry and the Cowboys. And I so appreciated America's team and kind of took football up another level. What's something about Tom Landry that the average person wouldn't know that you got to witness and soak in your time in Dallas?
Well, Tom Landry built, you could call it a dynasty. We were pretty successful in the 70s and 80s because he drafted and signed players that fit his philosophy. And that was key to him. I had a chance one day to just sit down at lunch with him and ask him what was the key to his success. And you know, it was that. And he would pick captains, Leroy Jordan, Roger Staubach, guys like that, Robert Newhouse, Drew Pearson, guys that believed that football was a game of study and, you know, preparation, hard work. We weren't the biggest, strongest, fastest team in the league by any stretch, but we studied hard. We out hustled in the fourth quarter our opponents and things like that, the intangibles that Coach Landry believed in. I said, well, Coach, you didn't pick the captains. We did. We voted every year for the captains. We filled out a slip and wrote down 3 names and turned them in. And so how did you get captains for the team that you thought you wanted? And he said, well, Danny, who counted the votes? And that was, well, you're right, Coach, you counted the votes. So I guess you could have whoever you wanted. And that I think is what made, didn't just go out and get the best athletes he could get. He got guys that fit his philosophy, and I think that's what made us successful.
Couple more with Danny White, and then I'll let you go. Your thoughts on the Big 12 and Arizona State now being a part of it. There's, you know, I grew up and watching at least the tail end of it, and a good chunk. I know the Pac-10, Pac-12, like how special that was. So it's got to be difficult for a Sun Devil to leave anything like that and move to a different conference. But talk about a soft landing. I mean, the Big 12 is just an amazing conference to be a part of. How do the folks out there in Tempe feel about being a part of the Big 12?
Well, they're accepting it. I think it was a tough transition. It was for me at first when I first heard about it. Oh my gosh, Cincinnati, Central Florida. What is this all about? You know, well, now after a couple of years in the conference, you're seeing the conference start to evolve, and teams are getting to know each other. Teams like Baylor, like Texas Tech, that are emerging as great teams, partly because they're in a conference of like-minded teams. And these teams we don't have one standout. I mean, there are 6 or 7 teams in the conference this year that easily could win the conference. I think that's really good for the conference, and I think it's just going to get better and better as these teams get to know each other.
You make a great point. Like, this was, you know, covering the Big 12 and calling some games. Being at Big 12 Media Days this year was the first year in like 3 years where there wasn't a new team. You know, it wasn't like, okay, let's introduce this new team to the league. Finally, everybody was back and there were no changes. And that familiarity, kind of breeding contempt in a good way, is kind of getting there. I appreciate you saying that. Last question for you, because it's an old school Pac-10 foe of yours, Pac-12. The UCLA situation, it seems like this might be rock bottom for them. It's a total bummer, because growing up and watching those games at the Rose Bowl when I was a kid, it just seemed like so electric. Is there a solution there? Like who would you hire to be the next coach of UCLA?
Oh, don't, you know what? You don't, I don't even want, I don't even want to go there. I am not in touch with NCAA football on a big scale. I'm focused on Arizona State and the Big 12, and yeah, UCLA is going through some rough times right now. They'll come out of it. They're a quality university, and they've got a lot of powerful boosters, and that's, I think, what it's all about. Sooner or later, they're going to emerge as the force that they once were.
All right, let's get back to Arizona State, because I got to ask you about Sam Leavitt before I let you out of here. That kid's special. You ran up against a little bit of trouble against Mississippi State, but as a quarterback, what do you see in him that makes him so special? And just how high is that ceiling for this young man?
Well, the ceiling is unlimited for Sam. If he'll work on the mental part of the game, get the ball out of his hands quicker, and that's not all Sam. He's got to have receivers that are getting open quickly. He's got to have play designs that give him somewhere to go with the ball quickly against a blitz. This is a team in Baylor this week that loves to blitz safeties and corners, and we better be ready for it and have hot receivers, have protection calls that are giving him time in the pocket. He's running with the ball way too much. Fortunately for Arizona State, he's a great runner. I mean, he's fast, he's quick, his instincts are off the charts. So if we can get the mental part of it down to the point that he's going to those quick little easy receivers on first and second down, taking what the defense gives him, and he'll do that. It's just his second year of playing football at the college level. So he's going to just do nothing but get better. And yeah, Sam Leavitt is going to be a great quarterback playing on Sunday someday.
Danny White, you have said it all, man. It is so cool to visit with a legend like you. And I so appreciate the fact that you're still so close to the game and contributing on the level that you are at Arizona State. It's really cool. I didn't know about those Sunday meetings, and that gives me goosebumps, man. I always knew Kenny Dillingham was cool. I didn't know he was that cool. That's awesome.
He's a great coach. I tell you, he's got it all. He's got energy off the charts and a mind. He knows the analytics better than any coach I've ever been around. And he's not intimidated by me or by anybody else. You know, he's the guy, he knows it, and he's willing to actually sit down and listen to somebody like me and then actually process it and do something about it. And I love that about Kenny Dillingham, but the players just love playing for him. That's the biggest thing about him.
Danny White, Arizona State legend, Cowboys legend. We'll see you here in Waco. Safe travels. Thank you so much for this time. It means a lot.
Thanks, Peter. Anytime.
You got it. Danny White, the legend. How about that? I mean, that was pretty cool. I did not know. I mean, he always, to me, was a remarkable quarterback, and I mentioned a remarkable coach in the AFL particularly. But I didn't know his fingerprints were kind of on Arizona State in the program like they are. And that is like super exciting to me. And you can bet I'm going to be dropping some bombs on Inside the 12 later on this week, talking about Danny White and his role with Arizona State. That is, you know, I won't overdo it, but that's certainly noteworthy. I just think it speaks to just how awesome Kenny Dillingham is. I mean, that comfort in his own skin to invite someone like Danny White. And Danny said, you know, that could be intimidating for some coaches. Some coaches want nothing to do with the past. This is my way. This is my legacy. This is my program. And, you know, Kenny, with his affiliation to the program that goes all the way back, that dude gets it, man. Pumped for this weekend. You know, Baylor, 2.5-point favorite, Arizona State coming to bear. And by the way, he gave some great critiques about Sam Leavitt and Baylor's defense, and I appreciate his transparency too. Danny White, man, a legend. That was way cool, as Dave Aranda would say. We'll step aside. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovakics. When we come back, I'll tell you who should be UCLA's next coach, and we're also going to talk about Baker Mayfield. Scotty has a love affair with Baker Mayfield, and finally we have an organic opportunity for him to wax poetic about his crush. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacic's back after this.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
Experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again.
BosleyMD.com.
Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress, that helps you calm down and feel better. You sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Dive into adventure with Scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust Scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at Scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at FullwellFertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at GEVI.com to discover more.
It's the Pete Sousa Show.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGOAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
Stability.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. We continue to rock and roll. Very cool to break a little news here on the Pete Sousa Show. I don't know that many people, if any, knew that Danny White was meeting with Kenny Dillingham every Sunday to give him a scouting report of their upcoming opponent. Very cool window into that situation. So we thank Danny White. I should have waited to show him the Cowboy or my Eagles helmet. Probably not the best move. But what are you gonna do? I'm an Eagles guy through and through. I'm not like a weird Eagles fan that's gonna like ruin people's day. But I like the Eagles a lot. By the way, I mean it's almost boring liking the Eagles now because they're so good. By the way, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. Thank you so much. First National Bank of Central Texas. By the way, Scotty, Dan Ingham has a meeting in Lubbock this week, so he's going to call in. Okay, so we'll have Dan calling in, taking it to the bank with Dan from First National Bank of Central Texas. Of course, Soua Family Ford keeps you on the road. Christy's son, we were going to get him a car at Soua Family Ford, but now that is like, that is in doubt. Behavior issues. If you're gonna, if there was like an injury report for kids and their possibilities to get a car, it would say, I'm not even going to say his name. It would say Christy's son, doubtful. Okay, in parentheses, insubordination. That's when, by the way, that is when I learned what the word insubordination meant. When Eric Dickerson missed the game with the Rams right before he got traded to the Colts. And I remember it said Eric Dickerson, insubordination. I was like, Dad, what's insubordination? I was looking at the newspaper. He's like, oh, it's not following the rules. That's what you get. Following the rules has not always been Baker Mayfield's forte. At some point, a lot of times people have said it's been his downfall. Well, guess what? The outlaw is back on top, folks. Baker Mayfield and his story of resilience is one that no longer can be there can't be a blind eye turned towards it anymore. Let's go back, right? Texas Tech. He's a walk-on at Texas Tech, right? Finds his way to Oklahoma, where he experiences amazing success, is the first pick in the draft. And oh, by the way, there was a moment, right, where they were right there. The Browns were right there, and they just couldn't get over the hump. And before you know it, a year later, or maybe a year and a half, it's a Monday Night Football game that doesn't mean anything. And Baker Mayfield is playing quarterback for the Rams. And it's like, yeah, like this is kind of funny that Baker Mayfield on like 24 hours notice has basically been taken off the taxi squad to, stopgap quarterback tonight for the Rams. His career, I think, by most accounts at that point was kaput. Right? I mean, that's what I thought, at least. I was always pulling for him because I love a comeback story and I love resilient dudes. And then we have his career in Tampa Bay. First of all he does is get assistants named head coaches, right? The offensive coordinator right now for the Bucs has to be delighted because he knows he's next in line. And last night, he leads his team to a win against Houston on the road. They won 20-19. Now I bring in Scotty Swingler, who I had to come in and hose off this morning because he was so excited about Baker and his big performance. Scotty is working on a new, hey, what is this? Al Qaeda? What are we? Can you see yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, talk again.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can hear you.
I think we can.
Okay.
I think we can. Hello, hello. I'm coming through the same sound system you are, so if they can't hear me, they can't hear you.
Tell me what you said. Give me your McConaughey I said.
Oh, Baker's from Austin, Texas, Lake Travis High kid. He that guy's a hell of a football player. I don't remember what I said earlier. What did I say?
You said something like Baker. It's a comeback story.
Baker's a comeback story for the ages. We should make a movie. No, I here's what I said. You are exaggerating as usual when I'm excited about something. All I said was, and I think I said this to you in a text even. I don't even think I talked about it when you walked in. I said Baker Mayfield used to be one of my least favorite college football players ever. I, as a Baylor fan, abhorred him when he was at Oklahoma.
Everybody did because he took it to you.
Well, but listen, no, because
one of the few guys that
there are opposing players who've played against Baylor who I really like.
Yeah,
Vince Young, Colt McCoy, Stephen McGee, Colin Klein. Who else? I mean, like other quarterbacks from good teams have come in, and I'm like, I like this person. But Baker, because of his puff your chest out, bravado, smack talk, like almost arrogant, cocky kind of nature.
Yeah, he rubs people the wrong way.
Drove me nuts. And then he got to the NFL, and I felt bad for him. Anybody that has to play for the Cleveland Browns, I just feel bad for them. But he was picked number 1 overall, and I was like, that's a waste of a number 1 overall pick. He's not worthy of a number 1 overall pick. You know what I said when he got the ball back with 2 minutes to go last night? I was watching the game with my father. I said, Baker is very high on my list of quarterbacks I do not want to be handing the ball to down by a score with 2 minutes left.
I agree. I totally agree.
I said, I think the only two that are definitely higher are Mahomes and Josh Allen. I think Baker might be number 3. And then they start
scary.
And then they start flashing up the stats. Like since 2018, he like leads the NFL in game-winning touchdowns in the fourth quarter, or he's tied since 2023 for like go-ahead scores, in over whatever. Like, I'm like, oh, so there are actually stats to back up this feeling I have about Baker Mayfield. Dude has balls of steel. Dude is clutch. And when he had that long scramble and got up and was talking smack last night in that dude's face, I love him. I love him. He's great. Well, I'm so happy that he is successful. I'm so happy that like confident, arrogant like thing is working for him in the NFL now. Like, I think it makes the league fun. It makes Tampa Bay a delight to watch. And those weapons, obviously, he has around him there too. Irving and Ibuka and Mike Evans. Like, that's a crazy fun team to watch, man.
How do you, you know a lot about Texas college football. How did he not get a scholarship? Because he started at A&M. I'm looking right here. He went 5-2 as a starter in 2013.
At Tech, not A&M.
At Tech, sorry.
Yeah, no. And he was good at Tech. I remember watching him play. I think he played against Baylor in one of those games for Tech. So I watched him play at Tech. I don't know, Pete. There's some, it's easy to talk about the University of Texas because between Colt McCoy and like Sam Ehlinger, they went for almost like over a decade with really bad quarterback play while they didn't offer Robert Griffin, Heisman. They didn't offer Johnny Manziel, Heisman. They didn't offer JT Barrett, national championship, right? Like they passed over a lot of Texas.
They didn't offer Baker.
Baker, Kyler Murray. Like you can go down the list of these really, really, really successful Texas high school quarterbacks that the University of Texas passed on that went on to like win that. Jalen Hurts. Like all these guys are from Texas. And UT didn't offer them.
That is a great, Scotty. Like you just put there in a little box, like how hard it is to find a great quarterback.
Well, no. But it's the opposite to me. The truth is, and Baker Mayfield might be the best example. Jalen Hurts as well. In this, and I have a bias. I have a lens here, right? But in the state of Texas, I just think it's true. Our high school football is easily top 3 in the country and probably number 1.
Dude, no question.
Especially for quarterback development. By the way, we're now on an 8-year stretch where the Super Bowl has only been won by a Texas high school football quarterback or Tom Brady. So I'm
probably better versed to answer that question for you. There is no question. Having lived being from Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
question.
Here's the deal. Texas, during that decade I just talked about, was chasing guys like Tyron Swoops, these like 6'5" athletic physical freaks to come play quarterback. But meanwhile, these little kids or these undersized kids or these like kind of unconventional kids, the Johnny Manziels, the Baker Mayfields, the Kyler Murrays, the Jalen Hurts, the Robert Griffin, they're wrecking in Texas high school football, but they don't fit the
prototypical.
Right. Yeah. Well, and they weren't 5 stars. They weren't like these big hyped 5-star. Oh, look at his upside. But they're all kids that what they do, Kyler Murray, especially. Kyler Murray is still the winningest Texas high school quarterback ever. They won football games. And then we act surprised when Jalen Hurts is doubted in high school, doubted in college, benched in a championship, and he's now a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And we act shocked. It's like,
well, I think
when you win and you win and you win and you're a winner, Baker Mayfield's a state champion in high school.
I think we've stumbled upon or you have made an amazing point in a sense that football is different in Texas. And the DNA of the players in Texas is different. And there's no second option. There's no plan B, right? For these guys. Like Jalen Hurts was going to put his body and his soul, a son of a coach from Texas, which it seems like all these guys are a son of a coach, right? Like, because Texas high school football is that important that you really are putting out there to the rest of the world these not necessarily finished versions, but these dedicated and these guys that are hell-bent on being successful with football.
By the way, a great example of that, and just sticking with the theme, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, I think Baker Mayfield played high school baseball. A lot of these guys, Kyler Murray was drafted. Like a lot of these guys could have been professional
Yeah.
baseball players. There are still people out there who probably think Kyler Murray is insane for playing NFL football rather than making his money in the MLB. But that's what Texas
I could
is.
say present day, just haven't called a Houston game, Connor Wegman.
Yes, that's what Texas is. There is no, you just said it perfectly. There is no plan B.
Yeah.
If you're a talented, successful quarterback in Texas, Robert Griffin III could have been a 20-year professional track and field athlete, Olympic runner in the 400-meter hurdles. He was one spot out of the Olympics as an 18-year-old. He threw that away to play NFL football. That's what you do when you're from Texas.
Yeah. No, that is what you do, and it's a different breed here. Maybe it's in the water, but man, Scotty Swingler really delivers the goods.
Last thought,
please.
I mentioned this to
by all means.
Watching Monday Night Football last night with my dad. I did mention to him the 8 or 9 year stat of like it's been Brady and Texas kids that have won the last like 8 or 9 Super Bowls. I was like, let's get Baker one. Like I'm not actually rooting for the Bucs to win it because I'm still a Cowboys fan at heart and I've got some other interest here. But I'm like, you know what? If the Bucs make the playoffs and are like a 10-11 win team, I'm rooting for them. Let's get Baker Mayfield a Super Bowl, man. Let's keep this trend of underrated, underappreciated, overlooked Texas high school kids. Mahomes, Hurts, Foles.
Hey, let's name drop
Baker.
real quick. What we had Sal Palantonio on here last week. I said, what would have been your addendum or one more chapter to your Eagles Super Bowl book that you wrote, the Philly special, when they beat the Patriots? And he said, don't get rid of Nick Foles. Don't get rid of Nick Foles. And he was like that. And a lot of people in Philly felt like that. And when you let Nick Foles go, I mean, lucky we had Howie Roseman and he could figure it out and put it back together rather quickly. But that team hit bottom after that. Like Nick Foles was special. And it goes back to that Texas talk we're in the middle of right now. There was just something different about him, dude. There was just something different about him.
Let me give you another name to watch this season in college football, changing subjects. Watch what Haynes King is doing at Georgia Tech.
Is he from Texas?
Of course he is.
I didn't know that.
Longview High, man. Texas A&M. He went to Texas A&M first. Transferred out of Texas A&M. By the way, Texas A&M, while we're talking about big schools in Texas, has a history of bringing in great quarterbacks who go kick butt other places. Kyler Murray being Exhibit A, of course.
Yeah. All right, good job, Scotty. Great job. I'm gonna, since you mentioned Monday Night Football, this was something that I did want to talk about. Last night, I was finishing up some work, and I put on. I work upstairs. I'm at Christy's house, and I have like this closet that's an office that we do the show from. It's actually really cool. All I need is like somehow there's an issue with like my feed and the internet back here, and it's not on our end. It's on like my end in Flower Mound. I can't get like that dialed in, like perfect, like, 4D or whatever the hell you call it, sharpness, but I'm working on that. But I do have to say I was up there doing work and I had Monday Night Football on, and holy shit, I forgot how much I love Joe Buck and Troy Aikman together. I mean, holy shit. That is appointment viewing for me from now on. I don't know why. Sometimes I think for me, I mean, just to get into my personal background, I worked on the morning news for a very long time. So watching events at night were sort of out for me, unless it was a huge game. So I kind of fell out of that Monday Night Football routine, and I'm back in. They had like Joe Buck, and I'm sure, and this is a little inside broadcasting, right? His spotter is this guy, Bill Garrity. I'm pretty sure. It might be somebody else. I know his stats guy is Ed Sfida, but I want to say Bill Garrity. I could be wrong. Let's text Ed Sfida right now, right? Let's text his spotter. Ready? His stats guy. Let's just text it, because I texted Ed last night. Who is Joe's spotter? So the opening drive for Houston, right? They're marching down the field, and they throw a screen pass, right? And down the field, there's an amazing block. And somehow Joe Buck, I should have clipped this, Scotty, and given it to you, but I'll just describe it anyways. Somehow Joe Buck is able to so cleanly describe, okay, the running back has the ball. He's headed down the field, and Buck goes, great block. That was Wilson. Let's say Wilson is the name of the center. I don't know who the center is for the Texans. I apologize. That was Wilson. And so he calls out the center, making a kick-ass block, and then resumes his call to the running back, taking the ball like inside the 10. And it was just like, it was the first drive and it was picture perfect. And honestly, a guy like Joe Buck may not have leaned on his spotter for that. That could have just been Joe. But if you do have the best spotter, like they will point, they probably have a sheet that says big block they can point to, and then you point to the center, right? And like that, so that is like poetry motion. And by the way, it had me thinking up there, my man Matt Davis is my spotter. I love him, but I was like, dude, as I continue to move and groove up the ranks here, I might need to find a new spotter because that is important, man. Trust me, as a former bad spotter, I know how important that job can be. And if you have a good one, it can just change the game. But this is more about Troy and Joe, really, than anything else. You feel like you have parachuted into a conversation with two best friends and you're watching the biggest game of the weekend in the biggest sport on the planet. Like, it doesn't get any better. And having grown up with both of these dudes, right? Like, when I'm a senior in high school playing football for Archbishop Carroll, Joe Buck is in his first year calling games on the NFL on Fox because it's the first year of the NFL on Fox. So Joe Buck has been in my life for 30 plus years. Okay. Troy Aikman, same thing. Like, I know these guys and they feel like they know us. And the symmetry that those two have together in unison with their producers, and I mentioned the stats guy, Ed Sfida, I know he's the best in the game because I know. And I think the spotter, and of course, Ed hasn't gotten back to me, but I think the spotter's Bill Garrity. I could be wrong. But like, it's just like to watch the best work together. And again, I go back to the fight I watched on Saturday night, and somebody blew me up online because I screwed it up. And let me get this right so I don't get. So there was a comment. So the guy who called the game with, God damn it. We get this. So the guy who called the boxing match with Max Kellerman and the other guy, that was Andre Ward. So I apologize. So it was, I didn't know the name, and this guy called me a shithead online, but it was Andre Ward. It was Max Kellerman. And again, I don't know the other guy, and some other guy, right? They're calling the biggest fight. 41 million people watch this fight. Netflix has it on. I mean, you can't even imagine the money that was put in. And obviously we know what was taken out. Those dudes, I mean, weren't even in, you say same neighborhood, we could say same like continent, dude, as Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. Those three guys who I'm sure are very talented in their own right at broadcasting and have all this intel. If you put the three of them calling a boxing match together, I don't know how many they've called together, but it seemed like not very many at all. And it was like a clumsy broadcast. It didn't feel good to listen to the broadcasters and watch the game. It was very apparent that these guys hadn't worked together that often, okay? Not on them, but the experience is the experience. When I'm watching Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, I'm like, dude, these guys are finishing each other's thoughts. There's something to be said for that, right? Like, that cohesion just breeds an ultimately clean and fulfilling broadcast for the viewer. And I will tell you, I used to go to bed with a black and white television in my bedroom, and Monday Night Football would start at 9 Eastern, which was way behind, like that was after bedtime for me when I was in grade school. And I would turn that TV on and I would listen to Al Michaels and Frank Gifford and Dan Deerdorf, right? I would listen to them start the show. And it was everything they were saying was so important. It was so important. You know, like, that was the biggest game in town, the biggest show in town. And now I feel like we're back there again. I really do. Maybe that's just me, prisoner of the moment. But what an enjoyable experience it was to watch Monday Night Football. Of course, then I had to go downstairs and eat dinner and be part of the family. So I missed the whole rest of the game. That's a whole nother story. My life taking on a brand new shape, which I love it, but it's an adjustment. I think anybody that's been married knows what I'm talking about. But hey, it's a rounded out life. You know, it's a big circle now we're making out of Big Pete's life here. So yeah. Anyways, we're going to come back. I'm going to tell you why, who UCLA should hire as their head football coach. And I'm also going to give Molly Kieram some advice that she's never going to take or hear. We'll be back after this.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops. Made clean, made to clean.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, for true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's kitbag.com. Kitbag.
It's the Restore Clarity Focus Patch, my little secret weapon for staying sharp, focused, and on task. Each box comes with simple instructions inside, so you always know exactly how to apply it. Each patch lasts for 3 days. I love that I can wear it all day.
Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite. At Toussaint's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Visit Toussaint's.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home, homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
Unlock a world of convenience with Mullybox, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your tastes. Mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
Welcome to Market XLS, your all-in-one Excel solution for investors. Designed as an enterprise-grade platform, Market XLS caters to investment managers, secure and efficient investment management and research. Book your free demo.
Everybody at Ecolife really has a passion and a real interest in helping people feel well. How much further can we go to get you feeling even better? It is a complete partnership between the two of us.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone, like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on the screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
Stability.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. We are back, better than ever. My man Chris Visser just sends me a text, and this is good. Inside baseball to kind of piggyback on our last segment. Artie Kempner is Monday Night Football's director, and he came over there with Troy Aikman. Troy insisted that Artie come with him, and I had known that Artie Kempner was there. I didn't know that relationship or that backstory. So that's pretty cool. And by the way, the producer is my main man, a guy who gave me my break at ESPN, Steve Ackles. Ackles is the man. Although he did tell me when I was like in 2021, this is like for any broadcaster out there, I was finally starting to get like a little bit of run with ESPN. But I was like Woody Woodpecker, like constantly emailing, like looking for more work. And Jeff Evers is a director at ESPN, and Evers put me in touch with Ackles and got Ackles and Nick Rude my stuff. And they were like, wow, this kid's good. Like, let's give him a chance. And Evers was like, hey, stop emailing Ackles. I was like, all right, fine. He's like, yeah, Ackles and Evers are like best friends. And he's like, dude, it's no big deal. You haven't done anything wrong, but we're so close that he mentioned that you email a lot and you should probably chill. And I was like, thank you. Thank you so much for that advice. And so that is the ultimate example and reflection of like being pushy and persistent. I was starting to get a little pushy. And in my defense, I wasn't emailing Ackles directly. I was emailing the woman who worked under him. But of course, she was like, yeah, this is Pete Sousa again. He's curious when he's going to get another football game. Oof, thank God we got out of there alive. Yeah, but Steve Ackles is the man. And clearly, I should have mentioned his name when I was going on about Monday Night Football. Okay, two topics that I want to wrap up with. I heard, I'm a longtime fan of Mad Dog Russo, and he had Gary Danielson on yesterday. Danielson, in his last year with CBS College Football, was honored at his alma mater, Purdue, over the weekend. So Mad Dog and Danielson were talking about that, and it was really cool. I think Gary Danielson's just like an amazing analyst, as most of you probably do as well. And Danielson mentioned, of course, he was asked about the Pac-10 or the Pac-12, but was asked about the UCLA job. And Danielson had a pretty strong endorsement for the school itself. Was like, look, dude, I know what it's like when that place is humming, and it hasn't been that long, and it's electric at the Rose Bowl when they're good. If you think about this, in 2017, when that job was open and Chip Kelly ultimately got it, that was like a big deal, right? Like it was like, who is UCLA going to hire? That was what? I guess 7 years ago, 8 years ago. That was a huge deal at the time. And it was like a really hot job. Now, not so much. But the guy who can come in and rescue UCLA, right? He can bring hope back to Westwood. And he is ready. His name is John Gruden. And Gary Danielson mentioned, I think John Gruden will be a great fit for that. And Mad Dog gave one of his, oh, really? Oh, really? Wow, that's a good one. And you know who else Danielson said? He even mentioned this. And this was, again, Danielson was not, if he has this on good information, he didn't say he did. So it seemed like he was just spitballing. But he also mentioned another one, which I would not be for. I just think it's too soon. He mentioned Michael Vick. He was like, Michael Vick is now at Norfolk State. Do they bring him on to try to have him be the next Dion? That's not Michael Vick, right? I think there's only one Dion, which is why that Colorado thing worked like it did. And I don't even know if it's going to keep working. I hope it does. But John Gruden to UCLA, to me, seems like the perfect fit because from all the stuff I've read and from all the stuff I've heard, right, that he wants a college job. If you notice, like those videos he does when he unboxes stuff, that it's all college stuff. I mean, from Villanova to Vanderbilt to Penn State, right to Purdue, he's always opening these boxes. And it's a lot of fun. But yeah, John Gruden to UCLA, like, can we please make that happen? Can we please make that happen? He needs to be offered the job. He needs to accept the job. By the way, if John Gruden is offered that job and he says no, that's scary stuff for UCLA, especially if he were to take another college job in the wake of that, because there is a world where this job is seen as an untenable situation for big-time college football coaches. And that's crazy to think that UCLA, right, one of the marquee jobs in sports to be a college football coach of UCLA. When I was a kid, like Terry Donahoe, I was like, wow, like that guy was just, or Terry Donahue, sorry. He had hung the moon, right? Like he was just important, dude, as the head coach of UCLA. That is not the case anymore. And Deshaun Foster, I don't want to say he was set up to fail, but probably wasn't the right guy for that job at that time. But everybody, I mean, look, programs swing and miss on coaching candidates all the time. But there's an opportunity for UCLA to right the ship. And boy, John Gruden, I think, will be quite the captain of the ship at UCLA. Last item of news. We'll go to sports media here and talk about Molly Kieram. I'm on the road this morning, and I get an alert that Molly is not accepting a contract renewal offer from ESPN. Now, the story was broken very early this morning. Molly then hops on Twitter and says, hey, this came out before I would have liked, but it is true. And I am going to close this amazing chapter of my life. Just said all the right things. Molly Kieram is like beyond talented. And that is not an easy job, what she has done. And she has done it better than anybody else could have possibly done. And if you remember, she worked with CBS and the NFL Network. She's very talented, right? And she clearly look, there's only, I don't know the inner workings of what's going on, right? I know that ESPN tried to keep her, and I imagine they offered her a lot of money. And I imagine she probably would like to do something different. I mean, that is not the most, I would imagine, fulfilling piece of work for somebody like her who has journalism somewhere, inside her that's probably looking to get out, or just a different form of presentation. I caution her though, right? If I was, I have people I worked with in TV news that will call me and we'll share stories, but sometimes they'll call and ask for, a piece of advice or what I think about this. If Molly Kieram called me, which of course she would never call me, but if she did and she was asking for advice, my thing would be look, I understand it probably doesn't present the challenge that you want, but you're on ESPN. The eyeballs on that show every day are out of control. A lot of people watch that show. I know that's lame that I'm not saying the exact figure, but a lot of people, you get the idea. And it's ESPN. And I don't care what anybody says, a lot of people out there, ESPN's dying, blah, blah, blah. Beat it, dude. Beat it. ESPN is on in every bar, in every airport. You walk through from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There's somewhere First Take is on. And the same thing at restaurant and bars and households, barbershops all over the country, maybe world. Okay. So she has had a place at the table just for a long time on one of the premier shows on sports television. And she's stepping away from that. And that's a dangerous proposition because I'm sure she has something lined up. I'm sure she has a ton of offers, but that show is a total winner. And it's probably a cash cow, and it probably keeps her, right in the middle of pop culture. And taking a risk outside of that, I understand taking a leap to grow. And I respect that she's betting on herself, and I hope she does a kick-ass job. But that takes courage, man, to leave a show like that and to chase a new venture. I obviously am rooting for her because I really do think she is amazing at that job. But it's man, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because there's a lot of folks who have left ESPN. Cowherd said it once, and then he left ESPN, and good for him. He kicked ass after he left it. But he did say once the company line when he was at ESPN, and he said, all these people leave ESPN to go into greener pastures, and I can't find them anymore. And he's like, I don't even know where they work, and I can't find their shows on TV. I think that's still obviously the way that we consume sports and all that stuff is different now, but I still think ESPN is a monster. And I still think to leave that and go out on your own when you're sitting next to a juggernaut like Stephen A. Smith every day, that's risky. And it takes courage. So I give her props, but it is a bit of a head scratcher. But again, there's the one thing I do know is that there's a lot that I don't know. So probably more to that situation. All right. The Pete Sousa Show is back tomorrow. PGA champion Jimmy Walker is going to join us ahead of the Ryder Cup and ahead of Baylor's game because he's a Baylor grad against Arizona State. And then on Thursday, we'll be welcomed by number 89, Steve Smith, because we're already getting a lot of hype and excitement. Dave Portnoy has announced he will be in Salt Lake City for Big Noon Kickoff. Steve Smith, a Utah alum, one of the best probably the best Utah football player to go play in the NFL. I shouldn't say that though. I probably need to do a little bit of research, but off the top of my head, yeah. Anybody you can think of off the top of your head? No. I would look it up, but I don't feel like it. So we're going to go. We'll be back tomorrow. You can look it up if you're dying to figure it out, and we can debate it tomorrow maybe. Just put something in the chat. But the Pete Sousa Show will be back tomorrow. Thanks to Scotty Swingler. Thanks to Chris Visser. Thanks to Danny White. If you missed earlier today, Danny White was on, former Cowboys quarterback, Arizona State quarterback. We're going to put that online. You can check it out. I'm going to clip the part where he talked about Kenny Dillingham, and I'm going to send that over to my friends at the Big 12 and let them pump it out everywhere, because that was a really cool nugget. Danny White saying that every Sunday he meets with Kenny Dillingham to go over next week's opponent. That is really cool. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference, because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Show. Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me, and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Show. Sports.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.